Welcome everyone to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pickering. That's right, Lo-Fi as in low fidelity, low quality, in your face, messy as can be global news show. Here we're going to talk about that famous question, what's going on in the world today? To the news, fresh off the press. Source, BBC News, World Section. Chinese consulate in Houston ordered to close by U.S. That's right, in the most recent update to escalating tensions between China and the U.S., the United States government has ordered the People's Republic of China to close this diplomatic office by Friday. The only reason given by the State Department was that this move was done in order to protect the U.S. public's intellectual property from theft by China. China has responded by saying that this breaks international law and warns the U.S. that if the government continues to target China on, well, let's be frank here, Lo-Fi Nation, seemingly everything nowadays, China says it will be forced to respond and retaliate. We'll be keeping a close eye on this one as it develops for sure. Next up, another story about retaliation and reciprocity. Source, Reuters World News. Iran will strike a reciprocal blow against America for killing of top commander Soleimani, Iran's supreme leader. A quick clarification of this messy headline. Soleimani is not the supreme leader of Iran. He was the general that was assassinated by the U.S. drone strike in January. The statement in the headline is from the supreme leader of Iran. And on that note, it is quite rare to hear from the supreme leader directly. Normally the president handles public statements, but it's the supreme leader that has the majority of power in the country. So when he speaks, people tend to listen because it's a sign of things to come. This too is a story we'll definitely be watching to see how Iran plans to retaliate against the U.S. Now moving forward, because we never move on from anything. Source, BBC News, Europe section. Belarus election snatched from streets in Europe's last dictatorship. Now this is an update from several stories that we've said we'd keep you up to date on. In previous weeks, the two main opposition candidates to the president have been barred from running in the election. Then, the wife of a jailed opposition blogger gets support from those campaigns and others to run against the president. And now, it appears the government is arbitrarily arresting opposition activists and journalists across the country before next month's election. This is bad news, Lo-Fi Nation. In many authoritarian countries, this happens right before elections as a warning to anyone thinking of voting against the president. It's a flexing of police muscle to show everyone who really runs the country and who they better vote for. Stay sharp, Lo-Fi peeps. This isn't the last we've heard from Belarus. And now for another update to a long-running story of ours. Source, Reuters World News. U.S. seeking arrest of Venezuela Chief Justice. Offer rewards for info. It wasn't enough that the U.S. has an arrest warrant and reward for the president of the country, equaling $15 million for narco-terrorism. Now they're offering $5 million for the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Venezuela for being part of transnational organized crime syndicates. The Venezuelan government is simply using this as fuel for the fire, to add to the list of how the U.S. is an imperialist country trying to control Latin America for its own personal gain. This is just one more example of the recent full force of U.S. foreign policy at the moment, taking aim at countries across the globe for what they consider bad behavior. A question to you, Lo-Fi listener. Why all of this hawkish foreign policy all of a sudden in the U.S.? Write in, let me know your thoughts. And a last piece of news to send you on your way for the day. Source, AP News, Oddities section. D.A. Man faked death to avoid jail, but typo gave him away. You ever come across one of those stories where you just feel it can't be true? That people, really, are smarter than that? Welcome to this story. This New York gentleman in question was facing jail time and faked his own suicide, and sent the death certificate to his lawyer to submit on his behalf. The death certificate was a fake, and everyone knew it, because he misspelled the word registry in the title of the document. He may have gotten away with this one, if only he used a spell checker. But hey, what a great example of why education really is important. Okay, not really a great example, but you get the point. Get out there and learn something today, Lo-Fi Nation, even if just how to spell a single word. And that's a brief snapshot of what's going on in the world today. Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode of Lo-Fi Global News. Write in with questions or comments to lofipolisci@planetmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Wash those hands. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Lo-Fi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off.